Hi students, welcome to Introduction to Preaching at Point University. I'm so excited that you're taking this course. My name is Dr. Joshua Rice and I'm part of the full-time faculty here at Point University. And I'm the course writer for Intro to Preaching. I wanted to take a few minutes to just walk you through the shape and the contours and even some of the rationale for this course. We've thought about it very carefully and with your experience primarily in mind. First, let's start with the textbooks where we're going to be gleaning most of our information and learning from the course. We have three, and in many ways they're intentionally very, very different. First of all, we have the kind of textbook that you might expect to find at a college level course on preaching, Dr. Haddon Robinson's rather famous book, Biblical Preaching, the Development and Delivery of Expository Messages. This is a touchstone work when it comes to expository sermons, which we'll be talking about a great deal during the course and which you'll be practicing. So it's fairly technical in nature. It's also used in many seminaries, not only in America, but around the world. Lots of nuts and bolts and tools to put in your preaching toolbox. Well, the second textbook is a bit more contemporary, we might say. It's by Andy Stanley, a famous megachurch pastor in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's called Communicating for a Change. Now, although we won't be covering the first part in the course, it's actually a narrative, a parable that really captures the significance of preaching and how preaching audiences and therefore speakers have changed and must continue to change to effectively communicate the gospel. It's a parable in the first half. We'll be focusing more on the tools that Andy Stanley lays out in the second half. Very practical, very straightforward, very easy to read, and very usable. I think that you'll really like this book. The third book may surprise you. It is not written by a Christian, and per se, it is not about preaching, and yet I would suggest it is equally relevant as the other two textbooks. It's by the CEO of TED Talks, Chris Anderson, and the subtitle here is The Official TED Guide of Public Speaking. Why on earth include a textbook in a Christian preaching class that's not from a Christian and not about preaching? Simply because preaching is still hemmed in within the academic and professional disciplines of public speaking. You can go to a state university and get a master's degree in speech communications. And even more importantly, the early Christians essentially took over this pronounced emphasis on the discipline of public speaking and rhetoric that was so prolific in their culture, and they made it their own. And that's the kind of thing we're looking to do with the principles of this book. Learning how modern, current, effective communicators are communicating so that we can take those skills and use them for the glory of God. Well, let me say something about the assignments of the class and what you'll be doing each week. You can look at these in the syllabus, by the way, which is a tab on the left side of your screen. Each week there will be reading from one of these textbooks, sometimes two at a time, and you'll be posting on a discussion forum an essay that you've created answering questions about the textbooks. And I want to issue just a challenge right here. Sometimes it can be so tempting to see the discussion forum and just go straight to that forum and start writing from our own experience. And there's value in that. But at a college level class, even if you've been preaching for a long time, first and foremost, the discussion forums are to prove your digestion of the reading material. So we're going to be looking for points of correlation with the reading material in each week's post that prove to us that you've been reading, digesting, evaluating, thinking about that reading material. It's what makes this class college level, and it is what is going to make this class very fruitful in your life if you really take those readings seriously. Second, each week we're going to be critiquing an online sermon from a diverse array of speakers, women, men, different races, different ethnicities, different styles, topical, expository, etc., so that we can begin to hone our skills for listening to sermons. And finally, you are going to be both practicing and executing an expository sermon on the one hand and a topical sermon on the other. Each of these due during Unit 7. In fact, one of those is due via video so that your class peers can critique and comment on your sermon. It's always one of the highlights of the class when we present our video sermons and gain feedback from one another. Let me answer two basic questions, one of which you may be grappling with. Number one, what if I've been preaching for a long time? You may sort of laugh at the title of the class, Introduction to Preaching. If you've been preaching for years, why would you need an introduction? Well, you probably don't, but I want to encourage you still to maintain an open mind. You're going to be hearing some voices and some approaches that might be brand new to you. I've been preaching for over 20 years now, and I love what I've already read in these textbooks just to refresh myself. It's part of the discipline of getting better and better and better so that we don't grow stagnant. So keep an open mind. The second questioner might come from a very different angle. What if I'm not interested in preaching? What if that's not my calling? What if I'm getting a Bible or ministry degree without the overall purpose of preaching behind a pulpit? Well, I want to suggest to you one thing, that part of being an educated Christian is also honing the ability to be a good listener of sermons and a person who knows how to critique sermons very, very well. And so the skills that you'll gain in this class will still be fruitful no matter where you are on the preaching spectrum. I'm excited for you to get started, so let's begin now.